The rescue mission to save our soldiers shot down in Iran served as an incredible reminder of America's resilience and resolve in the face of our enemies. The collaboration between our military and intelligence agencies and the bravery of those downed soldiers form the kind of story from which movies are made. But before this mission gets the Hollywood treatment, we wanted to learn more about what it might have been like for the pilot and weapons officer in those critical hours just after their jet went down. And we enlisted the help of former fighter pilot and Top Gun graduate Matthew Whiz Buckley. Matthew Whiz Buckley, thank you so much for having us here. We're standing here in front of a fighter jet. This is not an F-15E Strike Eagle like, we had to do the rescue for over in Iran, but this is now a privately owned plane, and it is a two-seater fighter jet, right? It is. This is an Aero Vodochi L-39 Albatross. There's about 200, 250 of these in the United States. It's a former Soviet Union light attack jet that they also use for training, but you can privately own these in the U.S., and we actually own it through the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. This was probably the most intense, daring mission, maybe in American history, at least recent American history, where, both of these individuals, both of these airmen were recovered. So what was your reaction to seeing this rescue? Because this really was epic, I think, for all of us. There's no other military on the planet that can fight its way into enemy territory, build a mobile airfield, have helicopters pop out of some of our special forces plane, go rescue a downed airman, and fight our way home. It's just in the annals of air power, air warfare, I think this is historic, absolutely. As a former fighter pilot, when you watch what happened there, it was really remarkable. They both ejected. The pilot was relatively quickly recovered, right? Then you had the weapons specialist who was some 40 miles away, who was heavily injured, according to reports, who climbed somewhere around 7,000 feet up the side of a mountain and supposedly only had a pistol to protect himself behind enemy lines. What goes through your head as an airman in that scenario? Obviously, you guys are trained by the best of the best, but I mean, that's pretty intense stuff. When that airplane got hit, it was either die or reach down between your legs and pull the ejection handles. That's what a stark decision it is. So, boom, boom, in the blink of an eye, the canopy goes, they're in their parachutes, and now you went from, air conditioning or heat and just awesomeness to 400 or 500 knots of wind blast, so it's an incredibly violent experience. If you're not in a good body position, if your arm's out a little bit, you can get what's called flail injuries. If you've ever, been speeding down the highway and you stick your hand out the window, it gets blown back, right? Now, this will probably surprise you or a lot of the viewers. We don't do parachute training. Really? The first time that me as a fighter pilot would have been under a parachute would have been when I pulled the ejection handle. So that could have been both of their first time in a parachute. So you have to land from that, which I assume can be dangerous as well. And then upon landing, what sort of survival gear would they have on their person? I know you have a vest that may have been similar to what these guys were wearing. If you want to, you bet, absolutely, show us what you got here. Yeah. So, these are our fighter jets that, we fly locally here in South Florida. So what they'd have in the fleet is a lot more than this. There's your sidearm right there. I always carried extra bullets. It's actually very impressive to think that this one airman had literally behind enemy lines, when he had a bounty on his head, one pistol. Correct. To protect himself. Well, so in the seat pan, there is actually a collapsible semi-automatic weapon. But you got to go find your seat pan, right? Okay. And if, the second you hit the ground, I might be like Wile E. Coyote and running as fast as I can, as opposed to gathering that stuff. So we would also have smoke, and then we'd also have signal flares here as well. So smoke's pretty good for the helicopter to come in and show them which direction the wind's blowing. So imagining you are this, one of these two airmen, the second you hit the ground, the second your parachute brings you to the ground safely, what's the first thing you're taught to do? Do you hide the parachute so that the enemy can't find it? What do you do? It's just going to depend on what the ground situation is. How far is the enemy, or how close is the enemy? Do I need to boogie, or can I hide my parachute? But this backseater did exactly what it's supposed to. We have a lot of Gucci equipment here
but he needed to get to the top of a mountain.
Is that what they teach you? You have to go high, and why is that?
Well, a couple reasons. It's easier for a helicopter to pick you up high than down in a valley.
Right.
There's a lot of thermals or winds blowing over a mountain, and helicopters, it's not too stable, so they want you high. But also, obviously, for the line of sight, the satellites or communication.
What do you think it means for our country, and what kind of message might this send to the rest of the world to know that the United States military has the capability to extend all of our resources to put together this daring rescue and to basically pull it off flawlessly, Whiz?
Lara, I got to tell you, I'm a man of faith. There is no such thing as coincidences. I say God winks. This happened on Good Friday. We got rescued on Good Easter, right? By a group of young men and women whose motto is so that others may live. Nobody else, no other military on the planet can fight their way into bad guy country, pick up one of our own, and fight their way home. You know, Secretary Hegseth, General Kane, man, I mean, they just, two better leaders than this, and obviously President Trump.
All right, well, why don't we climb in and you can show me what I need to know about ejecting, God forbid, out of one of these planes.
Let's do it.
All right, so now that I'm in, I need to get fully strapped in, because when you eject from these, Whiz, the whole seat ejects, right?
You
and
bet.
You want to be strapped in.
You bet. So the way the ejection systems work, there's a drogue chute, which is going to slow you and stabilize you, and then you're going to stay in the seat if you eject up at high altitude. So as you can see between your legs, in U.S. Fighter aircraft, it's a black and yellow ejection handle, and this one it's red. But in this cockpit, red, you're dead. That's your choice. Either die or pull the ejection handles. You'd want to get into a good body position, and in a two-seat jet, you'd say eject, eject, eject. And if you wait for the fourth one, you're on a solo flight, because we'll pull the handles. In about 0.3 seconds, the back seat goes, then you're going to go, and then you're hanging in your parachute. You'd fall in your seat until it got to a low enough altitude where the seat would push you out.
What is going through your head if you are in this seat and you know you're about to pull this ejection handle here? What goes through your head?
It's probably the most violent experience the human body can go through. Absolutely.
Wow. And then to go after that for 45 hours, to hike up a mountain, to have survived all that this airman did is really amazing.
I'll tell you what, first of all, the adrenaline of I'm either going to die or I'm going to eject.
Right.
All right, well, I lived. Now I'm on the ground. So the adrenaline spike must have been absolutely through the roof. But it's like breathing. That's when the training kicks in and you're just going through the motion. I remember landing aboard the boat at night before and taxiing the jet and getting out and going below and not even kind of remembering the landing. It was just hands and feet move and things were just happening. And I'm like, man, you're kind of in the zone. But that's why we train. We train because you fall back to your level of training. And if you had crappy training, you're going to be in a tough place.
The good news is we train the best and the brightest, and we have the greatest fighting force on the planet.
Amen.
And that's one of the reasons that we're here to talk about this incredible rescue and survival.
There's a motto in the military: you train like you fight, and you fight like you train.
There you go.